Welcome to Milto ENT, the platform for pro wrestling, video games, movies, and nostalgia. And today's episode on my podcast and YouTube series is going to be this. But before I ramble and talk about something, I need you to do me a huge favor so I can get sponsors and monetize and things like that. Two things I need y'all to do. Number one, subscribe to Milto ENT on all streaming platforms. If you have iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, I'm on every streaming platform. So please, before and after you listen to my podcast, follow me. Also, number two, subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Real MJ. More than likely, some of y'all may be listening to this episode on The Real MJ's YouTube. And if you don't know it and you're more of a visual person or more of a person that's just like YouTube, and you don't want to go doing all that downloading apps, go to YouTube. TheReelMJ. All right, guys, let's get on down to today's episode. And with me being a podcaster that specializes in all types of media and stuff, I wanted to talk about something that's really, really awesome in the wrestling community. And I feel like the internet wrestling community really isn't satisfied with a lot of stuff. And it kind of annoys me. So I made a list of dream matches that need to happen. And some matches are impossible to happen due to time. And when I think of dream matches, it makes me think of matches that should happen. Matches that just haven't happened over time. And most of these matches can't happen because some people are dead, some people are fired from companies. And it's just impossible for some of these matches. But in the alternate universe, it'll be pretty dope. I got a long list of matches, but I'm going to give y'all reasonings of this. And I need y'all to give me some comments on agree or disagree, some yays or nays. So my first match on my list is an awesome match. And it may occur. My first match on my list is Braun versus Brock. Braun Breaker versus Brock Lesnar will be a really good match because they are both powerhouses. When Brock Lesnar debuted in the WWE, he was a very dominant athlete, and he still is. Braun Breaker is a very dominant athlete. He has a similar kind of moveset to Brock Lesnar, somewhat with the spear, the young look, the athleticism, it's just awesome. And I want to see Braun Breaker versus Brock Lesnar. It'll be a pretty good match. Next will be Braun Breaker versus the Animal Batista. Another person that Braun Breaker reminds me of is Batista. He literally reminds me of the fusion between Batista and Brock Lesnar. Because I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. And one thing I like about Dragon Ball Z is when you do some fusions. And Brock Lesnar and Batista is like kind of a fusion. The Patara earrings, where it can last a little bit and then it dilutes. But at the end of the day, both people are still powerful no matter what. But at the end of the day, Braun versus Batista will be a pretty good match. Battle of the Spears, Battle of the Badasses, Battle of the Tempers. It's pretty dope. Braun Breaker's current run right now kind of reminds me of like a heel Batista when he was in Evolution, young Batista when he was in Evolution. Not Leviathan Batista with Reverend Devon. Next match that may occur, because I read in an article that Brock Lesnar is his name is cleared to return in WWE, allegedly. Whatever. But if Brock Lesnar is cleared to return to the WWE due to these sexual allegations, true or not, which I hope they're not true, but oh my God, the time of wrestling we living in now, who the fuck knows? Moose versus Brock Lesnar would be good. And I feel like it'll be good because we're getting TNA versus WWE right now. And Triple H is running WWE. Shawn Michaels is running WWE. The Rock is running WWE. We don't have Vince McMahon in the WWE right now. We don't have some petty pervert running the company right now. So Moose versus Brock may possibly happen. because Moose is a dominant badass. He's a dominant monster in Impact Wrestling. He's one wrestler that needs to come to the WWE. My next match is another Brock Lesnar match. Logan Paul versus Brock Lesnar. Logan Paul, similar to Brock Lesnar, came from an amateur background. People kind of say, yo, man, I don't think he'll make it in the WWE. Brock is the NCAA champion, this, that, and the fourth. Maybe this guy can't make it. Yeah, he's strong and he got the blue collar look, but is he got to make it? And I remember when Brock Lesnar debuted in 2002, and I think it was him and Shelton Benjamin and the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Anyways, when Brock debuted, many people really wasn't a fan of him. But after a while, he got in some pretty big feuds, and Brock was like dominant. Same thing with Logan Paul. When Logan Paul got into WWE, people did not like him because Logan Paul is a YouTuber. He came into the WWE. People feel like it was just like, okay, this guy's just another celebrity. Although, similar to Brock Lesnar, Logan Paul is a fast rising superstar. And I have mixed reviews about Logan Paul, but I feel like Logan Paul is a great wrestler, and him versus Brock would be pretty dope. Because Logan Paul has fought UFC fighters and boxers and any type of combat sports athletes. So putting them against the most dominant UFC combat fighter, fuck it, the most dominant combat fighter in American history to date, that'll be a pretty good match with those two. And I would make it a shoot fight. I wouldn't even make it a scripted ass boring match. I would find a way to put them in the octagon and let Logan Paul get his ass whooped. Or a boxing match. I don't know. That's just me. Next match, CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's a match that's on every single individual person's dream list ever since the debut of CM Punk doing the pipe bomb shitting on the company. Then I think they did WWE 2K16. Punk and Austin had a huge argument. Then Broken Skull Ranches, Broken Skull Podcast, whatever the fuck Stone Cold Podcast is. A lot of people wanted to see that. CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Two rebellious figures that literally say what we all want to say in life. Fuck the boss. Fuck the middleman. Screw this, screw that, screw the government. Like, balls to the walls guys that got balls and they can defend themselves. And both of these guys are legitimate badasses. Like, Stone Cold Steve Austin has a whole fucking ranch. He's not like no soft, pretty ass loser. He's a fucking man's man. CM Punk got his ass whooped in the UFC, but he admitted it. Not many motherfuckers can go into the UFC and say, I've been into the UFC. Despite me getting my ass whooped, I was in the UFC. At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck if you have a win-loss record of 0-5. You got into the octagon, the most dangerous combat sport in the world, and you held your own. Even though you got knocked out. And then it's a huge payout. So, yeah, wrestling is great. Wrestling is scripted. But going into the UFC world is a whole different ball game. Whole different ball game. Next match would be a dream match that can never, ever happen. Now, earlier I said that it can never, ever happen. But this is my dream match that never, ever can happen. But in an alternate universe, if the Flash existed, I feel like this match existed. It's going to be Edge and Christian versus the Usos versus the Young Bucks versus G Generation X versus the Dudley Boys versus the Road Warriors. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's a 12-man TLC match. I hope I said that right. That's an 8 to 12-man TLC match. That has never happened. And if it has, let me know. I don't know. But a 12-man TLC match, that's just an insane fucking match. Or if it's a 12-man match, we can divide those matches into 4-man matches. We can figure something out. Even if it's not a TLC match, we can have some type of tag team battle royal, elimination match, elimination tag team. I don't know, but that would be a dope match because Edge and Christian was great. The Usos are great. The Young Bucks, they suck. DX is great. The Dudley Boys are great. The Road Warriors, come on, that's one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Pitting all the greatest tag teams of all time in just one fucking ultimate fucking match would be so fucking awesome. Next, I will have Prime Ken Shamrock versus Brock Lesnar in a Brawl for All or a UFC style match. Now, for you youngins, a Brawl for All match was basically like a boxing and MMA style match. It was a shoot. It was like a shoot match. A shoot is like some shit that's real. It wasn't that scripted crap. It was real life punches. And you got to watch Dark Side of the Ring and do your research for it. But at the end of the day, Ken Shamrock in his prime versus prime Brock Lesnar or even current Brock Lesnar, Ken Shamrock was dominating the UFC. He was the first ever publicly known UFC fighter, first time UFC fighter that was in the WWE. And I hate the fact that he was a fucking Intercontinental Champion. Then he got buried by The Rock and he was diminished. But I promise you, if Vince McMahon wasn't around and Ken Shamrock was in his prime, Ken Shamrock would be a WWE champion by now. But Ken Shamrock versus Brock Lesnar in any type of fucking MMA fight or wrestling match would be so fucking awesome. The originator of the ankle lock, my boy Brock Lesnar that do the shooting star press, Suplex City, Kimura lock, the battle between the ankle lock and the Kimura lock. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Lock it down, bro. Next match that pisses me off that never happened in the WWE that should have fucking occurred. And it's Gunther versus Roman Reigns. This should have occurred when both these dudes had an undefeated streak. They should have did some type of match where Gunther faced Roman Reigns. Because Gunther was dominant, Roman Reigns was dominant. Now, Gunther and both Roman Reigns both bored me after they reached after a year mark for their title. So I said, okay, bro, these niggas are boring the fuck out of me. So what can we do? Then I said, man, a champion versus champion match or just a simple ass match of an undefeated streak would be pretty dope. Like no interactions, no interferences from Imperium or the Bloodline. It would have been a pretty dope match. Or we could have did a War Game style match. Like Imperium versus the Usos. We could have had the Imperium and the Usos versus Roman. Roman and the Usos, the Bloodline versus Imperium. We could have had a fucking all-out fucking War Games match. And on top of the War Games match, it could have been a 4v4 War Games match. It could have been The Rock. It could have been The Rock. It could have been Roman Reigns and the Usos against Imperium. Add Dragunov to that shit. That would have been a pretty dope match. And then Roman could have pinned Gunther or Gunther could have pinned Roman. Then peep this. It could lead to a storyline where them two facing each other and say, yo, man, who the most dominant champion? Everybody banned in ringside. Ringside, they banned. Nobody can do it. Do it in a cage match, a Hell in a Cell, where nobody can interfere. Well, you can interfere in the cage in the Hell in a Cell match. But it should have been a match where it's no interferences allowed. It would have been pretty dope. Have your boy Stone Cold Steve Austin as the special guest referee for that match. Or Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee of the match. Or CM Punk as a special guest referee of the match. That would have been a good fucking match that WWE dropped the ball on. Because Roman is gone. Gunther is king of the ring. A lot of fans hate Gunther right now. Next is the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes versus Hulk Hogan. Two Americanized heroes. Dusty Rhodes and Hulk Hogan had some bangers after banger matches in the golden era age of wrestling. Golden era age of wrestling or the new world, whatever it was. Dusty Rhodes and Hulk Hogan have been wrestling for decades. And they are GOATs. But Dusty has never won the title. Cody has won the title. Hulk Hogan has won the title. Now, Cody Rhodes is that babyface that's over right now with the American dream, with the American Nightmare gimmick, similar to the real American Hulk Hogan. So you got fucking Hulk Hogan and Cody Rhodes. I'm sorry, I'm so excited. But that would have been a pretty dope ass match because that never occurred. We had Cody versus Hogan. We had not Cody versus Hogan. We had Randy versus Hulk Hogan. And Randy Orton versus Hulk Hogan was really good. Storyline was good. Randy Orton disrespecting Brooke Hogan, Randy Orton disrespecting the Hogan legacy it was like crazy. Like, it'd just be pretty dope if we have Hulk Hogan versus Cody Rhodes, and it'll be a heel Cody Rhodes with Randy Orton as his manager, and Hulk Hogan, if he could wrestle, with Ric Flair. But Ric Flair's in, what do you call it, AEW right now. But man, the days we're living in wrestling, I've seen people go into TNA, AEW, and come back to WWE. I've seen it before. I think I've seen it with Eric Bischoff. He went to AEW one time, and then months later he went to the WWE. But I don't know. That's just me. Next match will be a dream match we all want that need to occur if this man can wrestle. But again, he's old. Chad Gable versus Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle just was a GOAT in every single era. My favorite era of Angle was the Perk Angle era when he was in ECW whooping ass. Like he was on a 10. Also, TNA Kurt Angle was good. All variations to me of Kurt Angle was fucking awesome, bro. He to me was one of the first straight edge superstars for CM Punk because he drank his milk and everything. He drank milk and everything. He didn't do drugs. He was just different. And Kurt Angle is just a pretty dope ass wrestler. And he's Olympian. So Kurt Angle and Chad Gable both have a really good background. And I hate WWE dropped the ball on that. Made Jason Jordan Kurt Angle's illegitimate son or some shit like that. That was just so stupid. Next is Rey Mysterio versus Ricochet. If WWE somehow made a Prince Puma gimmick, made him like the Dark Jaguar or King Jaguar or something, made him like a heel, a badass heel, and had a really good manager behind him, like a Dario Cueto, if you know Lucha Underground, or somebody really prominent in the wrestling community, like a Chavo Guerrero, or any other Mexican wrestler, it would be pretty dope. You could have a Dark Prince Puma, like, I don't know, have him feuding with Rey Mysterio, and it could be a mass versus mass match or a mass versus career match, some shit like that, a death match or some shit like that. It'll be pretty dope because Prince Puma and Rey Mysterio was both in Lucha Underground, and I was a fan of them both. And even if they had a match in Lucha Underground, Ricochet, aka Prince Puma, was Rey's protege, and the storyline can be like, yeah, Rey, you worried about your dad, like you're being a deadbeat dad and everything, but I'm your creation. What's up? I even got endorsed by The Rock during the time in Lucha Underground, and yet all these legends not supporting me. Need to go through a dark. It'll be dope. Next would be Omos versus Big E. Big E is injured. He possibly can't wrestle anymore, but Omos versus Big E will be pretty dope because we all remember Big E when he did the 10 counts in NXT. Highlight of his life. Really good. First black NXT champion. Pretty dope. Omos hasn't won a major world title yet, but if we bought out Big E Langston, had him feuding with Omos, a dominant Omos, oh my boy, that's money right there. Like Big E Langston, not twerking Big E from New Day, like that dominant Big E Langston with that dope ass theme song with the chalk and shit. He's slapping the chalk on his hands, and he's like a power lifter, and he was with Dolph Ziggler. That's the Big E I want. And a dominant giant like Omos, dominant fucking match, and these two can form a fucking tag team out of nowhere and like defeat Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. It'll be pretty dope. Or they could form a new Nation of Domination, and Kofi and Xavier can be real serious. Kofi can be back to his Jamaican gimmick and more serious and be anti-American. And then Xavier Woods can bring back his Adonis Creed, or not Adonis Creed, but Consequences Creed gimmick from Impact. Just gimmick changes. Make these guys just a dominant faction. Call them in the dark. That's kind of racist, but make them a dominant faction. Last but not least will be an Elimination Chamber type match if these guys was alive, and it'll be basically an Elimination Chamber match just to determine who's the best of all time of the Mexican luchadors in the family. It'll be Eddie Guerrero versus Santos Escobar versus Andrade versus Alberto Del Rio and Rey Mysterio. I would pit these guys in an elimination match, and it'll be for a title. I may make it for a title or something, but at the end of the day, it'll be the main title of the best luchador of all time, the best family of all time. The Santos Escobar family good. It's the Guerrero's good. It's Andrade's family good. Del Rio's family good. It's Mysterio family good. Who knows? This will be a great ass match that could have happened, but we lost Eddie Guerrero and Alberto Del Rio. I don't know what the fuck going on with that guy. But other than that, those are my dream matches, people. So like, share, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what do you think of this list. And if you have any other dream matches on YouTube, talk to me on YouTube and comment. Thank you and have a good day.